This guy didn't buy a house in 5 years. He did it in 4 months. And no, he wasn't rich. Now, before your brain jumps in and says, that's impossible, just pause for a second. Because on paper, nothing about this guy looked special. He was saving just $1,000 a month. Not some crazy income, not a sudden jackpot, just consistent, average savings. So how does someone go from that to getting a house in 4 months? That's where the real story begins. At the start, this guy was doing what most people do. Salary comes in, bills go out, and whatever is left gets saved. Month after month, it felt like progress. But deep down, nothing was really changing. One night, sitting alone in front of his laptop, staring at his slowly growing bank balance, something clicked. At this rate, buying a house would take years, maybe 5, maybe more. And that realization hit harder than expected. Because it forced him to ask a question most people avoid. Am I actually moving forward, or just feeling like I am? That question changed everything. Instead of thinking, I need to save more, this guy shifted his focus and asked, what do I actually need to buy a house? Not what people say, not what society repeats, but the real requirements. So he started researching, and yes, it was confusing at first. Loans, down payments, interest rates, it all felt overwhelming. But instead of backing off, he leaned in. And that's when he discovered something most people ignore. Not every house requires a massive 20% down payment. Some options go as low as 3% to 5%. That single discovery changed the entire game. Now suddenly the goal didn't feel impossible anymore. It just needed a smarter approach. So this guy ran the numbers. If he targeted a modest property, nothing fancy, just something practical, he could realistically aim for something in a lower price range. With a 5% down payment, the amount he needed wasn't massive. In fact, it was something he could reach in about 4 months of disciplined saving. And that's when the real shift happened. He stopped thinking about owning a house completely and started thinking about entering the game. But here's where most people get it wrong. They think money alone is enough. It's not. Because even if you have the down payment, banks look at more than just your savings. They look at your behavior, your consistency, your financial story. So, this guy adjusted his approach again. He focused on his credit score, made sure every bill was paid on time, avoided unnecessary debt, and then cut down spending that didn't align with his goal. Not forever, but just long enough to create momentum. There were moments that tested him. Friends going out, upgrading their lifestyle, spending freely. While this guy held back. Not because he couldn't spend, but because he chose not to. That's the part most people don't see. Discipline isn't about restriction. It's about direction. And for the first time, his money had a clear direction. Still, around the second month, doubt started creeping in. The savings were growing, but there was no visible result yet. No house, no big win, just slow progress. And there was a moment where they almost slipped back into old thinking. Maybe I should just wait a few years, save more and play it safe. That thought was tempting, because it's comfortable, it's logical, and it's exactly why most people never move forward. But instead of waiting to feel ready, this guy did something different. He took action before he felt ready. He started browsing property listings. Late nights, scrolling through options, learning the market. Most properties looked out of reach or overpriced. But then something caught his attention. A small property, not perfect, needed a bit of work, but priced below market value. More importantly, the seller wanted to close fast, within 10 to 15 days. Most people would have ignored that, too risky, too rushed. But this guy saw something else, an opportunity. He paused and ran the numbers again. Down payment? Covered. Basic costs? Manageable. Financial profile? Strong enough. Everything he had been preparing for suddenly lined up. This wasn't luck. It was timing meeting preparation. But even then, fear showed up. Real fear. Because now it wasn't just an idea. It was a real decision with real consequences. There was a moment where he just sat there, staring at the screen thinking, what if this goes wrong? That's where most people stop. They wait for fear to disappear. But this guy didn't wait. He moved forward with the fear. He contacted the seller, had conversations, negotiated, and positioned himself as someone ready to act. And because the seller needed speed more than perfection, this guy became the right buyer at the right time. Things moved quickly after that. Paperwork, bank approvals, final steps, and within days the deal was done. Now let's be clear. This guy didn't fully own the house in 4 months. He didn't pay everything up front. That's not the point. The point is much deeper than that. It's this guy didn't buy a house with money. He bought it with preparation. That's the part most people miss. From the outside, it looks impossible. From the inside, it's just a sequence of smart decisions. Most people think they need more money to start, but what they actually need is clarity, because without clarity, you'll always feel unprepared. And the truth is, you'll never feel 100% ready. There will always be a reason to wait. More savings, better timing, less risk. But while you're waiting, opportunities pass, deals close, other people move forward. This guy didn't have some unfair advantage. He just avoided the biggest trap, waiting for perfect conditions. And yes, after getting the house, things didn't magically become easy. There were responsibilities, adjustments, small challenges. But now he was inside the game, not watching from the outside anymore. And that changes everything, because once you step in, your mindset shifts. You stop thinking like someone who is just saving money, and you start thinking like someone who is building something real. And that's the real win here. Not just the house, not just the timeline, but the shift in identity. So when you hear, this guy saved $1,000 a month and bought a house in 4 months, don't focus on the number. Focus on the process behind it, the discipline, the preparation, the decision to act before feeling ready. Because in the end, it's not about how much you have. It's about what you do with what you have. And remember this, opportunities don't wait. And when yours comes, it won't ask if you're ready.